Good evening, everybody, to the final round of the North American Grand Prix Thursday Night GT League. That's right, we are here live at the Nordschleife. And yes, I'm out on track right now because I had to stop the background noise from getting into the intro, so we apologize for that. But we are set for a phenomenal finale tonight, and I'm going to tell you why. The points race, the driver championship right now, as it stands, is only 1 point between the top two drivers. Chris Moses currently leading the driver championship with 150 points to John Ludden's of Robbers Dog Racing, 149 points. But not to be counted out, David Poole in third with 141, and then Aaron Parsons with 135. So I'm going to tell you guys how this can go. Aaron Parsons has a chance should the top three, for some odd reason, not make this 500-kilometer race tonight or not finish. Then Aaron Parsons were to win or even finish this race, you know what? This race could be in the bag for Aaron Parsons. But right now, the big story is that these top three separated by 9 points. Chris Moses, John Ludden, David Poole. Okay? So we're in for one heck of a battle tonight. And as you know, if you've been watching the Monday night broadcast, then you will know that Chris Moses did win the driver championship. PMR Racing did win the team championship, and even Chris Moses would have won the competition index. However, you cannot win the competition index if you've won one of the other two championships, and being that he won both, the competition index in that series for Monday night did go to Gregory Myers. So Greg Myers, certainly a happy camper this season for season 27 in the Formula Abarth Monday night. But here tonight, this is the deciding moment. It's not over yet. And typically we can crown a champion a week, maybe even 2 weeks out, but not in the case of the Thursday Night GT League. It's just not going to happen that way this season. So we'll see how this one turns out. So we are, like I said, we're at the Nordschleife, and let me just quickly take you guys to the track map. If you remember from last week, if you were watching, this is the layout that we are running, the Nordschleife, which essentially means the North Loop, with the GP Streck circuit, which is the typical GP Grand Prix layout for Formula One and other venues and other events. So yeah, that's what we are doing this week. So back out on track, we're just waiting for everybody to grid up, and once everybody's gridded, we only have like a couple minutes left to go, but once everybody's gridded, the lights will come on, they'll be off, I'll be off the track, everybody will be happy-go-lucky, and it'll pan itself out. So we invite you to stay tuned and just be with us for the broadcast tonight. North American Grand Prix Thursday Night GT2 League. And right now it looks like your admin is gridding up the starting order for tonight. So let's take it back to last Thursday. If you guys remember, in the qualifying effort, last week, we had Aaron Parsons that topped the field with a best lap of an 8:17.6. Chris Moses second with an 8:18.5. Now, if you recall, this now sets, they're set for this week, starting 1 and 2. 1 and 2 start because they secured their positions last week. Even if they decided not to run the qualifying race, they would have still started first and second. No penalties were issued to them. Starting third, however, is Brad Maris, and then John Ludden. In fourth, John McIntyre will start in the 5th spot. So we're still waiting for a couple more to join the server here to see what is. We see that some folks are starting to disconnect. Al Merriman's now on. So yeah, the starting order still has not been set as yet because these guys are hopping in and out. So we're supposed to be having 20 starters tonight for this 500-kilometer race around this tremendous circuit. So while we're waiting for the starting lights to come on, let me just take a moment right now to speak about this past season and the NAGP League in general. A big thank you to Al Merriman, who is the owner, president of the North American Grand Prix, for giving us this place to race, giving me the opportunity to broadcast the Thursday night races. It's not easy doing it by myself. We've been out there trying to recruit somebody. The lights are going to come on. We're going to come back to the house cleaning momentarily. Once these guys start, I will go ahead and pull off. And they are off. Starting early, Chris Moses, Brad Maris to the inside, having a look-see. As Chris Moses told in a tight line to take back that first spot, but Brad Maris ain't going nowhere yet. Let's pan out through the field, see how everybody's doing so far. So, Chris Moses, your leader, is going to lead them around the first few corners. Okay. And it looks like we may have dropped some seconds there. Some of these drivers taking liberties through that chicane there, taking a whole lot of curbing. I apologize, folks. Don't know why I'm getting that CPU occupancy issue. There's nothing wrong with my CPU. It's barely running at 30% right now, so not exactly sure what that's all about. Alright, so let's get back to this action out on track. And John Houston does join us. He might be able to get out on track, I think, before the first lap is complete. So out front, Chris Moses, your leader right now, is setting the early pace. Not trying to look back. I think Chris Moses looking to establish domination here tonight by driving a good, clean race. Go on board with the pit wizard. Moses driving some clean lines, trying to keep himself steady through the Nordschleife. Already establishing quite a gap between him and Brad Maris. Running at P2, Aaron Parsons in third. Ronnie Nunez takes a huge leap up to fourth. Followed by Al Merriman in fifth. Salem Montgomery Jr. now moves up to sixth, followed by David Poole. David Poole alongside Salem Montgomery Jr. Taking a look, see if he can get around that big old... Sorry about that. Seeing if he can get around that big old Bentley. But it's not going to happen this time around. Back out on track. John McIntyre. McIntyre currently running in 8th. Bjorn Heyman in 9th. John Wofford holding on to the top, to the 10th spot, rounding out your top 10. Luis Nieto, who was running Monday night and was doing quite good, but just couldn't make it happen. Running in 11th, followed by Jack Ivey. John Ludden languishing back in 13th. And Greg Myers. Trevor Snowden, Marty Uren back there. David Zahn is also back. And Chuck Carter in 15th. Newcomer Greg Hagland running in 19th. And it looks like John Houston finally got himself out on track. He is running in 20th. This is his first crack at Thursday Night GT this season. If you recall, he was running, I believe, a part-time schedule last season. Didn't complete all the races. Chris Moses early on establishing a leader's gap, 4.5 seconds back to Brad Maris. Brad Maris being followed closely by Aaron Parsons. So early battle, not even an entire lap one complete yet. Aaron Parsons challenging, and now David Poole and Salem Montgomery Jr. still also having their own battle. Poole not wanting to let go, and you know, some guys are causing some serious drops here. So I apologize, folks. We're getting some latency from some of these drivers out on track. Not exactly sure why that is. There's got to be some high ping rates out there that are causing me some issues. Let's go back to the pits, take a look at what the ping rate of some of these drivers is, because somebody's giving me some agita here. And it looks like second place Aaron Parsons with a 259 ping is what's killing me over here on latency. So I apologize for that. It is what it is. We'll try to do the best that we can. So Chris Moses coming down the long back stretch, trying to complete lap 1. Scheduled for 19 laps around this joint. Chris Moses now coming to the start-finish line, first lap. Gonna be a slow one. It's not gonna be any race pace or qualifying time, but he's establishing. Chris Moses wanting to run away with this one early on. So Chris Moses puts up a first lap of an 8:30.011. Aaron Parsons now running in second place. We're going to try. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Aaron, but your high ping rates are causing me some issues, man. For some odd reason. I don't know why. It's been like that all season. But, yeah, so Aaron Parsons running in second. Brad Maris in third. Ronnie Nunez. We're currently taking a look at right now, running a solid fourth place. So we're still on board with Ronnie Nunez, having a look to see what he does here. Right now, these guys are starting to space themselves out, and that's typically what you're going to see at the Nordschleife. Still getting that CPU occupancy warning. But again, folks, I can assure you my CPU is fine. We are running 8 cores. Back out on track, guys. Sorry about that. We had to take a little break here to do some research. So we want to bring you the action out on track right now. So we are on board with one of the Bentleys. Let's take a look. Let's see Montgomery Jr. Currently running in 11th. So Sam Montgomery Jr. getting shuffled back in the order. Right now, it looks like everybody is starting to space themselves out throughout this race right now. Oh, yep, Ludden and Heyman. So Ludden teammates going at it right now, and it looks like Ludden's going to get the pass done. Mark Ivy. Marty Uren is back in 14th. So Chris Moses now working lap 2. So I apologize again. Sorry that I have to apologize so many times. So they are down. Backstretch. Alright then, so let's go ahead and take a look here, see what we've got going on with this race right now. Trying to catch up with your leader, which should be Mr. Chris Moses. There he is. So Chris Moses with 2 in the books, working on lap number 3. So essentially 17 laps still left to go. PMR running 1 and 2 here tonight at the Nordschleife. Aaron Parsons in 2nd. Ronnie Nunez now moves up into the 3rd spot and shuffles Brad Maris back into 4th. Al Merriman running in 5th and David Poole in 6th as he gets by Salem Montgomery Jr. So John Ludden quickly moving up through the field now puts his sights on John McIntyre directly in front of him. This is a battle for the 7th spot. Oh! So McIntyre decides to put on the brakes and lets Ludden by. Not exactly sure if I would have done that, or maybe his foot just slipped off the accelerator and onto the brake. Hey, it happens. So now McIntyre with Nieto coming around the outside. Oh, whoa! Nieto having to check up. And here is really where that Nissan excels, but it looks like Nieto's got a little bit of a draft, able to keep up with John McIntyre driving the GTR GT3. Not letting him get too far ahead of him. He's going to want to take a shot at putting a pass on John McIntyre in one of these corners. There's a lot of racing still left to go, guys, so patience is of a virtue here tonight. But at the same time, I understand they don't want to let the leaders get too far ahead if they want a chance at possibly, you know, at a top podium finish here tonight. So we are going double the distance of a normal race night on Thursdays. So we are anticipating that this is going to be a two-stop strategy as Luis Nieto, again, getting a little squirrely, having to check up on the brakes. Right behind John McIntyre. Great battle going on here for 8th spot. And it now looks like John Ludden not too far behind them. John Ludden's going to be joining this little battle here shortly. And then it's on. It'll be a three-way battle for that 8th spot. The coveted 8th spot, I might say. So you see Nieto taking a bit of a wider line entry into that corner as John McIntyre defends his line by going to the inside. However, it slows both of them down to the point where now John Ludden is inching closer and making some inroads to this battle going on. The harder they battle, the easier it is for Mr. Ludden to catch up and join this battle. And then it'll become a three-way, a threesome, whatever you want to do, whatever it is you want to call it. Take it back up. So Nieto finally gets around John McIntyre, but John McIntyre not happy with that at all. He's going to stay on it. And again, if McIntyre can pull a draft off that BMW, there's no doubt that he can slingshot right past it, but you got to kind of tug up right under it. And this perhaps is not the best part of the circuit to do so because they've got some corners coming up. But I'll tell you what, that long final back stretch, there goes McIntyre to the outside. Side by side through a corner. McIntyre taking off. There's contact. There's contact, and they are both going to find the barrier. McIntyre's going to keep on going. Nieto, no doubt, has some bad damage to that car, and we knew that that was going to happen. I believe that Nieto might have gotten the worst of that. Nieto right back on it. Time will tell as these guys go through the remainder of this circuit to determine if there was some sort of damage to the car where it's going to affect him negatively now, particularly on the straights. Turn in now. Not exactly sure if he might have some. Get a look. Yeah, it looks like he might have some aero damage there. Very hard to tell on these cars as they're going very fast, but it's very possible that Nieto has some damage to that car. So. And that's unfortunate. Inside the roll cage camera is Nieto. As we see Montgomery getting a little squirrely there. Getting on the throttle early. So this battle far from over. However, John McIntyre is now able to squeeze a little bit of a gap between himself and Bjorn Heyman. And Bjorn Heyman's got a handful to deal with because he's got these guys right behind him who were not so long ago just in front of him. So we're going to see how McIntyre hangs on to this one, and then John Ludden, but great battle going on here in the mid-pack at this time. As this will be the determining factor. Now these guys on that long back stretch. So the damage done to, because of the contact with McIntyre, does not appear to have damaged his straight line speed, as he has been able to pull a bit of a gap going down that long straightaway, and that Nissan is known for it. Oh, and Nieto again, getting it in the grass. Is he going to be able to pull out of this? As now Jack Ivey coming up on Nieto. Jack Ivey currently running in 13th. Nieto's going to pull it into the pits and get that damage repaired. No doubt. So we'll stay with Nieto for the time being. Wathen and Montgomery having a bit of a battle over there. So Nieto into the pits, and it looks like he may be in for full service. Getting that car repaired. Fuel and tires early on here, in the hopes that he can catch these leaders when they pit. And that, no doubt, will be the hope for this young man, Luis Nieto, driving the NEC Escort BMW, and he is gone. So Nieto gets back on the way. Looks like he is going to come out just in front of Trevor Snowden. No doubt with a, I'm thinking with a fixed car, maybe not, maybe just, I don't know. It's possible he didn't get anything, he didn't get any fuel and tires, just went in for the repairs. So it's a strong likelihood that Nieto might have to make a third stop if he didn't take fuel on and get the issues repaired with the car. He did hit that barrier quite hard. Alright, so we're going to take you throughout the field now, and Chuck Carter in 18th, Greg Hagland in 19th, John Houston still out there driving that Corvette C7, getting his feet wet, no doubt, for next season. So your race leader, Chris Moses, 3 down, working on lap number 4. Aaron Parsons in 2nd. Ronnie Nunez in 3rd. These guys are well spaced out. Brad Maris in 4th. Al Merriman in 5th. David Poole in 6th. So it looks like David Poole's making some inroads to Al Merriman's position and might be challenging here by the end of the lap. Depends on how Al Merriman keeps it. Got to keep it clean and hug those apexes really tight. Stay consistent throughout the lap. And that's what it's all about here at the Nordschleife, is that you have to remain consistent. Which is very difficult to do, I gotta tell you, with 170 corners on this circuit. No 2 laps are ever the same for these drivers. No 2 laps are ever the same. series, and big kudos to Salem Montgomery Jr. for his talents and his time here with the NAGP. Comes out week after week, ready to compete, ready to lay it down with the best of them. So Bjorn Heyman trying to hang on to the tail of John McIntyre, but it looks like John is starting to open up a little bit of a gap to Bjorn. Take it up the grid a little bit. John Ludden's checked out. John Ludden still chasing down David Poole, who's chasing down Al Merriman. Looks like we might have a bit of a battle going on here come the next lap and a half or so. Al doing a phenomenal job getting himself around this circuit and staying out ahead of David Poole and John Ludden. His teammate Brad Maris up ahead in fourth by about 20 seconds. And Brad Maris not letting Ronnie Nunez get too far ahead. Parsons running comfortably in second. Chris Moses with about a 10.5 second gap to his teammate. So Chris Moses, your leader, down that long back stretch, and his teammate Aaron Parsons about 10 seconds behind. Looking to bring home a PMR 1-2 finish here tonight. And it looks like Kuno's in their last 1.4 update to Assetto Corsa did revise some of those graphics and implemented an automatic bloom feature because I do not have those post-processing effects enabled. But it looks like it's on by itself. I think it looks really cool. Albeit it may be taking up some resources here. Not to the point where it's affecting the broadcast, but I think I may have gotten a handle on that as to why. And we are going to try to fix that before next season, so we can bring you all that live action. Taking it back now to John Ludden and Ludden and Poole gonna come and bring it into the pits after just 4 laps. Wonder what's going on here. Early pit stops for these guys. So Ludden and Poole in the pits. Looks like John McIntyre going to come by, and it's not going to pit, so he'll gain a couple positions here. As will Heyman. So Ludden and Poole is off, and jumps Ludden now in the pits. Ludden's still there, so no doubt Ludden is getting full service here for this stop on lap number 5. And Ludden is off. So Ludden will he'll cycle back into the rotation at 11th. Jack Ivy into the pit. So it looks like these are regularly scheduled stops for these guys. And boy, oh boy, I gotta tell you, if that's the case, I don't know what that means. Does that mean it's going to be a 3-stop race? Possibly. If these drivers are having to pit after only 5 laps, then they're looking at 3 stops. But Moses is not pitted. Parsons is not pitted. Neither is Nunez or Maris in Maryland. So, nor McIntyre or Heyman. So. If this is a 2-stop strategy, could they be just taking a short first stint to take a longer second and third stint? We will have to see how this is going to play out. Unfortunately, we're not getting the pit indicators in our broadcast tools here. Who's coming to the pit? So we gotta see how they, see who pits as they happen. That's unfortunate. John Houston gonna get by John Hagley. And your race leader, Chris Moses. I almost called Chris Moses Chris Parsons. Oh, that's pretty comical. So Chris Moses, your race leader, out with 4 in the books and working on lap number 5. Out right now, loving the Nordschleife ring. As it plays to his advantage, and he opens up that gap over here in Parsons. It's a little over 11 seconds, maybe a 12-second gap to Parsons. Nunez holding on to that 3rd spot, but Brad Maris closing the gap a little bit. With resident driving instructor Brad Maris, and I gotta tell you, Brad and Al alluded to the fact that there might be a driving school after this season, and Brad went even further and alluded to the fact that he might be looking to put together a couple of fun races to tide over these hungry virtual racers during the holiday season and as we get ready for season 28. And just talking about what these guys are planning to do, I started earlier to mention that Al gives us a great place to race here, and we are appreciative and grateful to Al Merriman and the entire admin staff, Chris Moses, Brad Maris, and some of the other guys that serve on the competition committee that make this place a pleasure to come to week after week. I myself had to stop racing due to real commitments on Monday nights, But it did not preclude me or exclude me from doing these Thursday night races, but for a couple of weeks. I enjoy thoroughly doing these broadcasts for you guys that view it live, as well as the racers to come back and watch themselves live on the broadcast afterwards. I'm grateful to Al for allowing me to do it. And I gotta say that the North American Grand Prix certainly has struck, in my opinion, a really good balance between Monday and Thursdays. Previously, when we were running the GTR2 platform, we had GT2 cars on Monday nights and GT1 cars on Thursday nights. Very little difference between the two series, with the exception of horsepower and maybe a second or two faster lap times. But for the most part, you're running essentially the same cars. First season of Assetto Corsa, first couple seasons of Assetto Corsa, I believe we did the same thing. Yeah, I think we had GT3s and then on Mondays, and then GT2 cars on Thursday nights, and it took a little bit, trial and error, of course, with all things new, as we are watching this phenomenal battle between McIntyre, Heyman, and David Poole. David Poole finding that barrier real quick. So, and it took the admins a little while. Whoa! Heyman taking liberties with that curbing, upsets the car a little bit. Have struck a really good balance between the open wheel and the tin tops. And in this broadcaster's opinion, I think that they're onto something here. The Monday night guys, Poole getting it all wrong at that corner. And no doubt some side damage to that Viper. Sale Montgomery Jr. seeing that, perhaps smelling a little bit of blood. The battle right now is for that 6th spot between Ludden and McIntyre. It looks like your leaders, Chris Moses and Aaron Parsons, have both pitted. McIntyre doing his John Wayne impersonation, riding off into the sunset down the home straight. Beautiful landscape coming down this long back stretch. If you guys happen to look at the background here, it's crazy how the landscape looks so phenomenal. Yeah, and so it's been a great run this season for these drivers, and it's evidenced in the fact that the driver championship has not yet been decided until the end of this race. Chris Moses absolutely needs the win. John McIntyre, John Ludden into the pits. Looks like Poole's going to pit, as is Sale Montgomery Jr. I'm sorry, Heyman is in, Ludden continues, and it looks like John Wathen is in the pits as well. So after 5 laps, working on their 6th. Luis Nieto now coming up that long back stretch. Now, Luis Nieto had a pit already. No doubt to fix that damage. Jack Ivey making his way through that long back stretch, as is Marty Wren shortly. Greg Myers getting it a little bit wrong there, but back on track. Trevor Snowden currently running in the last points paying position, buddy. Hang in there and keep it going. Chuck Carter in the other BMW M3 running back in 17th. David Zahn in 18th. John Houston in 19th. And where is he? Mr. Hagland is back here somewhere, I believe. Did we lose? Oh, no, there he is. Greg Hagland in the pits right now, perhaps getting some service. Yep, his car is still turned on. Driving the #1 WeatherTech Audi R8, and that's me back there in the #2 WeatherTech Audi R8. So hopefully this is just a service stop for Gregory Hagland. Did not see the car go up on the jacks. Greg Myers into the pits. Marty Wren coming around through the GP Strike portion of this track. Looks like Greg Hagland might actually be done. He hasn't moved. Let's see here. Yeah, he hasn't. Oh, the car just went off. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Greg. Alright, so back out on track. Brad Maris currently in the lead, and no doubt Brad Maris now going to have to pit. Has established a 23.5-second lead over Chris Moses, but coming in for rubber and fuel is going to put Chris Moses back out in the lead, and Harold Merriman, who is now running in third. If he hasn't pitted, he might be coming in himself. Aaron Parsons shuffled back to fourth for the moment, and Ronnie Nunez in fifth. John Luddy getting by John McIntyre. McIntyre running in seventh right now, followed by Sal Montgomery Jr. and Luis Nieto now battling once again. These guys come close together. David Poole right behind them in ninth. David Poole already having had his pit stop. But this is the battle going on right now, and I don't believe that either one of these guys have pitted yet. Oh, having a check up, getting he spins it, pull into the barrier. Boy, oh boy, you guys are just suffering some really bad luck tonight catching all of this. As John Wathen now trying to avoid the wreck, kind of gets it squirrely. Salem getting away scot-free. McIntyre not looking back, so Salem, Wathen, Luis Nieto now facing the wrong way on the track. And that's it. Luis Nieto is gone. And that's how his season is going to finish. Jack Ivey now moves up a spot into 11th. Had a way to do it, Jack. Jack, one of our more laid-back gentleman drivers, figures, you know what? These guys will wear themselves out on their own. I don't have to do anything but just drive. And I'll score points. And he's absolutely right. So, good way to go, Jack. So, David Poole also dispersing from this race. Oh, that's a shame. David Poole, who was making some really good progress, decides to call it quits. Houston into the pits now after 5 laps, and John Houston. Let's see. No, he's still actually in here, I believe. Yep, it looks like he might be getting service. So. Good on John for hanging in there and just trying to get the experience. So Brad Maris out in front, followed by Chris Moses. Brad Maris has yet to pit, I believe. Holding a commanding 23.5-second lead over Chris Moses at the moment. So we're going to stay with Brad. Now, if he continues on after this lap, then he would have had to have pitted. I just did not catch it. So we're going to see here as Brad Maris makes his way through that long back straightaway, the Mike P straight as I call it. There's Mike P on the floor. If he does not pit this lap, then he would have pitted earlier. And we just didn't catch it on the broadcast, but... And it looks like... Nope, he's going to pit with a 23-second lead over Chris Moses. Now, we're going to have to see where Chris Moses is in relation to... Brad's position, and no, Chris Moses is definitely going to get by for that first place spot. So Brad Maris, no doubt, going to get shuffled back now. So Moses gets by Maris, and Maris is still in the pits. Now Merriman into the pits. With a little bit of damage to that Porsche will have some Parsons getting by him as well. Just love how you can hear the shift sounds from outside the car. That's crazy, but oh well, not everything can be perfect in every sim. So Nieto, Poole, and Haglin out of the race. So Parsons being chased by Ronnie Nunez, being chased by Brad Maris. And Brad Maris now on fresh rubber and a full tank of fuel. But, however, he is running cold tires right now. We're going to have to wait for those tires to come up to temps and the pressures to get just right. John Ludden moves up into 5th, and Al Merriman cycles back into the 6th spot. Al, perhaps with a little bit of a long pit stop. Marcelo Montgomery Jr. making some progress here, up into 8th place, followed by Mr. John Wathen. Running in the top, within the top 10. He's currently in 9th. Followed by Bjorn Heyman, who rounds out your top 10. And as you can see by the lap counter in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, there is still a lot of racing left to go. We're almost an hour into this race at this point. Wanted to make a real quick plug here. We're going to let you guys know that Al has t-shirts for sale to help support the North American Grand Prix League. I believe I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on this. I believe they're $20 or €20. I'm not exactly sure. But order yours today and become a part of the North American Grand Prix family, House of Style, if you will. It's just another way to support the league. If you don't feel like making a donation, we are a donation-driven league. We do survive on the donations of the members and those who take an interest in what we do. If you are a sim racing product sponsor and think that the North American Grand Prix perhaps has a sufficient following and you may want to help support our league, then do not hesitate to contact Al Merriman via our website, North American Grand Prix, I'm sorry, NorthAmericanGP.com. That's NorthAmericanGP.com. We will certainly work with you to promote your products in return for a sponsorship to the league. So just something to consider. I know that it's done a lot in iRacing, and it can be done outside of iRacing as well. So as Jack Ivey makes his way through this winding snake, Marty Wren a little bit further back. Trevor Snowden out there. As is Gregory Myers. David Zahn not giving up. He's in 15th spot. That's good for 2 points, David. So you keep at it. You don't give up. So your race leader now with a 20-second lead over second place, Aaron Parsons. Wonder from down under. Third place to Ronnie Nunez, and now Brad Maris right back. Also, these guys have pretty much just kind of picked up where they left off before their pit rotations, now on their second stint, and it looks, based on what I've seen, that this is going to be a 3-stop race for these drivers, for these racers here tonight. And we are back to the live action on track as Brad Maris trying to hunt down Ronnie Nunez. Ronnie Nunez driving brilliantly, as is Brad Maris. Currently in 5th, although the sim shows him in 6th, but they haven't cycled the start-finish line yet. And we've got 8 viewers online with us tonight. Johnny Mack in 7th, running his race. Salem in 8th, Rothman in 9th. Jack Ivey back in 11th. Trevor Snowden in 13th. Marty Wren just up ahead from him. Gregory Myers hanging in there for 05 Motorsport, running in the sub role. David Zahn in the McLaren MP4. I like this car. But we've got the new McLaren 650S, which is also nice. Usually ran by Omar Gomez, but he's not out here tonight. Omar unable to take part in the Nordschleife finale. So we are looking for drivers to help fill Thursday nights. If you like what you see, guys, come on out and join the league. I know that some of you Monday drivers perhaps have considered it, and I know just how it is with, you know, real world commitments and stuff like that. If you can spare it, fine. If not, you want to switch from Mondays to Thursdays. The grids on Monday nights are typically a little bit bigger than what they are on Thursdays. I'm trying to get up to this battle right now for the third spot between Maris and Nunez. So now Maris all over Ronnie Nunez's tail. Not exactly sure if perhaps Nunez might have had a slight bobble or an off. It's possible. We're going to keep it right here because this is a battle. I'd like to bring you the battles. And Ronnie Nunez having pitted a couple laps earlier than Brad. Brad with the fresher tires. And by this point, those tires have come up to good operating temperature, and the pressures are probably all optimal. Might have a slight advantage over Ronnie Nunez. Ronnie Nunez has his work cut out for him because he's now got to drive those clean lines, keep those wheels off the curbing. We see Brad Maris taking a few liberties. Oh, Ronnie Nunez getting up on the grass. Perhaps trying to push just a little too much. Brad Maris, I know he's smelling some blood right now. These guys are going at it tooth and nail. Brad Maris not letting up, and no doubt has got his right foot pushed down to the firewall. Has to let up just slightly as they come into this corner here. Inside the driver view cam with Brad Maris as he gets on those apexes, closing the gap to Ronnie Nunez, giving Ronnie a run for his money. As both these drivers, oh, a little bit of a check up there for Brad. Both these drivers working that wheel rigorously, trying to keep pace out there. This is for P3. Both of these drivers very experienced. Ronnie Nunez known for his fast pace. Brad Maris known for his fast pace, consistency, as well as his patience. So a great battle going on here for third place. Brad Maris, Ronnie Nunez, giving us a show here tonight. Brad Maris all over the tail of Ronnie Nunez's car, having a peek inside and outside, not able to catch a break just yet. He was really close a few corners ago. Now Ronnie Nunez seems to be back on top of things, and he's pushing real hard to stay out in front of Brad Maris. No doubt not wanting this type of pressure so early on in the race. We are almost at the halfway point. Seven in the book. I'm sorry, 7 in the records, and working on putting lap 8 down as well is your race leader, Chris Moses, out in front here. Parsons running in a second. Now that gap closes to 11.5 seconds, so begs to ask the question if Chris Moses might have had an off that has allowed to Aaron Parsons to cut that lead down to just about half. Guys that are watching the broadcast live, and we're up to 9 viewers it seems, perhaps can let me know in the chat room if the broadcast is coming through okay. Oh, Moses getting a little squirrely there, having to check up on the brakes. I'm broadcasting at 720p tonight simply because I know that there's some issues with Twitch, that unless you are a Twitch partner, they do not allow you the option to get into the upper levels of HD, and I think that the max you get without being a partner is 720, and I just think that's bogus. And like I mentioned last week during the qualifying race, hoping that we can move away from Twitch and get onto YouTube gaming streaming, which is it's a better platform. It's much more stable, and the options are there for HD throughput and output, etc., etc. So back to the battle. Brad Maris. Take a look here. Get on board with Mr. Maris and see how this pans out at the end of this long straight. This is the area where I was telling you guys that the background getting behind this car just looks phenomenal. You guys are looking at you right and left. Beautiful picture. So rejoining this intense battle for third place, we go on board with Brad Maris, resident driving instructor here at the NAGP. As both of these drivers come into turn one, this is known as part of the GP Streck circuit. This is the circuit that Formula One and as well as the German Touring Car Championship, they run this part of the circuit as the Nürburgring. Nunez getting a little squirrely and out onto the curbing. Keeps his pace. Amazing. Not exactly sure if Brad Maris knows how to put the moves on Ronnie just yet. Take another lap to figure out where Ronnie's weaknesses are, because every driver, whether pro, amateur, or otherwise, have weaknesses at every track. And part of the fun of sim racing is exploiting the weaknesses of your competitors. I speak from experience. They exploit my weaknesses just about every as I get past. everybody some camera time. John Ludding is currently running in 5th. Al Merriman running in 6th. Johnny McIntyre in 7th. And Salem Montgomery Jr. in 8th. Followed by John Wathen in 9th. And Bjorn Heyman rounding out the top 10. Jack Ivey in 11th. Marty Red running in 12th. Gregory Myers in 13th. David Zahn in 14th. Trevor Snowden in 15th. So these guys had themselves a little battle going on here. Let's see what David Zahn is going to do. You got to push that car, David. I'm sorry, you got to push that car, Trevor, and not let David get too far away from you. These two driving as teammates. Takes it a little wide a couple of corners ago. Is going to give David Zahn some breathing room here. Some teammates going at it for P14 and 15 respectively. Chuck Carter testing the resiliency of the barriers. Yep, Chuck, I can speak from personal experience. They don't move. Stay away from it. John Houston back in 17th. Again, John Houston, last-minute entry into this race, and more so perhaps for the experience, might be looking at making a run next season for Thursday Night GT. John Houston having done a phenomenal job in the Monday Night Formula Abarth Series. And as you may, if you were watching the broadcast on Monday night, Brad Maris making mention that the league has been looking at perhaps making some changes to the format for Monday night in terms of the mod being used. They've been looking at a few options, and there's, from what I understand, a phenomenal Formula Renault 3.5 mod out there for Assetto Corsa. And an interesting article that I read Sim Racing, it might have been bsimracing.com or reddit.com. Something that I did not know was that when car manufacturers issue a license, they issue the license to all sim racing manufacturers for the Corsa. It is the reason why you see the Nordschleife in Assetto Corsa, and it was just released for iRacing. Being an iRacer myself, I don't do much road course in iRacing. I'm more of an oval guy, but as of late, the differences between the two are perhaps more graphical. Whereas iRacing went ahead and reused they restamped the graffiti in various areas of the track. And I believe that Kronos actually took a satellite snapshot of where all the graffiti was, and they mimicked it. So, not that it much matters, because when you're going through these straights and corners cars at hundreds of kilometers per hour, you're not going to see them, so it doesn't make much of a difference. However, we do have some purists out there that feel that that adds to the immersion. I am not looking at graffiti when I'm driving, and if there's graffiti on the ground, it doesn't make a difference to me. So, John Houston just ahead of Chris Moses, your race leader. Aaron Parsons in second. Ronnie Nunez still holding on to third. Back to the battle. Brad Maris in fourth, and it looks like Ronnie Nunez may have opened up a little gap here between himself and Brad Maris. And again, we are back on the straight where things started to come together for Brad. So yeah, getting back to what I was saying, Monday nights may see a change. Perhaps faster horsepower, different circuit selections as these guys now go through the start finish straight away. You see Brad Maris working that wheel hard. And it's going to be interesting to see who's going to bite first. And coming in from the pits, these guys have now put 9 in the books and are now working on lap 10. Coming through turn number 1 and through the GP Strek. Ronnie Nunez having done me a huge favor at pretty much the outset of the beginning of the Formula Abarth season, where real-world issues pulled me away from the Monday Night League. Ronnie Nunez did step in after having filled in a few races in a sub role for Team TFS and came on full-time. And really gave these guys a run for their money. Had a few bad luck runs in some races, not able to culminate in a championship challenge this season, but I'm hoping that Ronnie does decide to come back for next season and throw his hat into the Open Ring Series and perhaps join a team, and a full-time team, and challenge for the championship. So a little further back, looks like Bjorn Heyman might be coming under some pressure from John Moffat as we take a look now on board with John Moffat as they make their way to the infield circuit. They are racing for the 9th position. Moffat having a good run here inside the top 10. Second gap to Brad Maris, so I believe that Brad Maris' opportunity at this point, if Ronnie is able to keep his pace, might have slipped away from Brad Maris, because no doubt there are a few laps into their stint, and Jack Ivey in the pits for service. and they those tires no longer are perhaps the best going on right now. So I'm gonna cycle through the field real quick here. Greg Meyer's still out there. Still a battle going on for P14. So these two drivers having their fair fill of competition here. Chris Moses, your race leader, out by himself, and looks like Aaron Parsons. Aaron Parsons has closed the gap to 6.5 seconds. Chris Moses has allowed the gap to close to 6.5 seconds. Ronnie Nunez still in third, followed by Brad Maris in fourth. Backdrop of the trees. So as I was saying before, when manufacturers and tracks license to all sim manufacturers, and that is why you see, like I said, Nordschleife, two of the most happening sims right now out there. The same holds true for cars. The biggest challenge, no doubt, is given. The biggest problem to the sim community is Porsche. They are not granting licenses, and their licensing fees are astronomical, as is Ferrari. And I'm surprised that we actually got Ferrari in the Kuno simulation here for Assetto Corsa. Understanding is that their big part of their revenue for Ferrari is the licensing department. But I don't think you will be seeing any Ferraris in iRacing. But we do have them here in Assetto Corsa, and Brad Maris having to just working the life out of that steering wheel. No doubt the boys at Porsche are going to have to rebuild that car from the ground up after this season. So Ronnie Nunez opening that gap in third, and as I stated, that looks like Brad Maris's tires might be starting to wear down, and his opportunity has passed now to catch Mr. Nunez. And if things work out the way that they did in the first stint, I believe that Nunez may be pitting 1 to 2 laps before Brad Maris does, quite possibly. I believe that Maris went for the longer first stint, and everybody else went for a shorter first stint, perhaps going for 2 longer stints to finish out the race. So we are at the halfway point of this race at this time. Almost 1.5 hours into this session. About 1.5 hours left to go. Moses into the pits. Okay, so your 2 leaders currently pitting. Chuck Carter going to come in. Let's see what Ronnie Nunez is going to decide to do. Does Ronnie Nunez come into the pits? And he does. Brad Maris will stay out. So Brad Maris going to jump these guys because of their earlier stints, but things will work themselves out again because Brad Maris, within the next lap or two, will have to pit himself. And then he will have one more pit stop before the end of the race. Do not think that he can make this a one-stopper. And if he does, ain't gonna happen. I'm saying a two-stopper, right? It looks like he's gonna have to pit 2 more times. So we want to welcome our 11 viewers online that are watching this broadcast live. I can see you guys out there. Just want to welcome you to the grand finale of season 27 here at the North American Grand Prix Thursday Night GT League. We're going to be taking a break after this session for the next couple weeks. It will be in sometime in the new year when we come back due to the holiday season. Participation, very hard to sustain the league's numbers, especially now during the November to December months into January, of course, because of the U.S. holidays as well as the celebration of New Year's. People want to spend time with family and they have time off. Information at NorthAmericanGP.com on when the next season is going to start. Quite possible that Al sometime this week or within the next week or so will be making an announcement as to what is going to be happening. That I'm not 100% sure that he's going to, but it is quite possible that he will. Myers holding it down for 05 Motorsport. Andrew Werner, MIA this season from Thursday nights, no doubt due to real-world conflicts. Jack Ivey running in 11th and Bjorn Heyman in 10th. As Bjorn makes his way through the Mike P straight. Walden having to back up into his pit. Wow. Salem Montgomery Jr. in the pits getting service. John McIntyre in the pits now takes off. McIntyre going to cycle back in to 7th. McIntyre having a phenomenal run here tonight. And John Ludden in 6th. John Ludden, your second place points position driver. And there is your points leader. 1 point separate Mr. Moses and Mr. Ludden. So as it stands right now, should this race finish here on this lap, Chris Moses will be crowned the driver's champion for season 27 Thursday Night GT League. See if I can quickly pull up a browser here without overloading bandwidth. Hopefully we can get through this okay. Maris out in first. That is because Moses, Parsons, and Nunez have all pitted already. So, yeah. So we're going to take a quick look at the standings real quick, because I wanted to take a look at the team championship to see if the team championship might have been decided already, and I believe that PMR has pretty much got this one in the bag, as long as yeah, they got this one in the bag. The spread to second place, almost 100 points. So Robert's Road Racing not going to make that up in this race. Not if things finish the way they are right now. So Chris Moses, your championship leader in terms of points by 1 over John Ludden. David Poole is out, so he has no chance. But this man here has a chance should things work towards his favor. Although Chris Moses looks to be doing everything that he possibly can to make sure that that does not happen. Chris Moses looking to take away two driver championships here in season 27. He was crowned the season 27 Monday Night Champion just this past Monday, as well as he and Matt Taylor took home the team championship. And this man right here, Greg Myers, took away the Competition Index Championship. And the Competition Index Championship is a championship award that's awarded to the person that covers the most distance mode. So it's a little squirrely there over the curbing. Covers the most distance, not necessarily the most laps, not necessarily attending every race, but has to cover the most distance in a season. And that honor fell to Greg Myers for the Monday Night Formula Abarth. And he makes no secret, every season he runs, he goes for that Competition Index Championship. Does have a prize. There are prizes awarded in this league for championships, typically in the form of a scale car of some sort that Al goes out and pays for himself, and then sends it out to the Drivers' Champion, Team Championship, Team Champions, and the Competition Index winner. So, Brad Maris still out on track. Will get one more lap in before coming in for service. He was able to go 2 laps over what most of the other guys were able to do. And boy, I gotta tell you that Brad Maris might be trying to stretch this into a 2-stop race. If he can make it to the beginning of lap 13 on this run, boy, I gotta tell you, Brad might actually win this win. And if Moses were to finish second, it'll still hand Moses the championship. Essentially, John Ludden would have to finish ahead of Moses and have Moses finish with low to no at the end of lap 12 would have gone a full 12 laps. 6 and 6 is 12. You add another 6, that's 18. He might be looking to make this a 2-stop race. Everybody else is going to be 3 stops. So Brad Maris might have played his cards here right tonight. And we're going to see, you know, we've seen a lot of this type of strategy from Brad Maris before when he was driving for Anger Racing, him and Andres Preto in the GTR2 platform days. Boy, I speak of that like if it was eons ago. It was just a couple seasons ago that we were still running GTR2. And I know of at least one other league that is still running the GTR2 platform, but is currently gearing up to make the full transition to a set of courses as well. So, yeah, we're on board with your race leader, Brad Maris, right now. So, Brad, oh, slide from Brad. Brad might have played the only chips that he had here to take away a win at the Nordschleife, and it might just be paying off for him, because if he can make it to the end of this lap, complete a full 12 laps, 6 and 6, he might, and that is a very small might, be able to squeeze out a full 7 laps to 19. My guess, however, is that if that is the strategy, Brad Maris is going to go on and pit in at the end of lap 13. It's just my hunch at this point, guys. But like I said, we've seen this type of strategy before when Brad used to run with Andres Preto Anger Racing team. And we used to see them do some really amazing things, especially in the old Dodge Viper. They were able to run that thing till it was on fumes. So, Brad Maris out in front. No real battles going on right now throughout the field. Everybody kind of just doing their own thing out there, spaced. Wave hello to the folks on the mountainside, Brad, as you go by. About 30 seconds back, and Aaron Parsons closing the gap now to 5.1 seconds behind Chris Moses. Ryan Nunez running a solid 4th, Al Merriman in 5th, and John Ludden in 6th. So from where I am sitting, it looks like the shift occurred in the championship standings. After Bahrain. Well, more so after Imola. That's where Chris Moses scored 25 points and John Ludden only came away with 12. And then the following week at China, John Ludden scored 24 points and Chris Moses came away with 12. So that kind of put them neck and neck. And then last at Bahrain, Moses finished with 14 points, John Ludden with 9, and that kind of put them right there. And so with Moses picking up 3 points for last week's effort, put him 1 point, and John Ludden with the 1 point for last week's effort. Put Chris Moses just 1 team teensy weensy point ahead of John Little, and now he is poised to take away the championship for season 27. Oh, McIntyre gets it on the curbing, and it looks like Settle Montgomery Jr. is going to get that spot quite easily. Oh, man. Sorry that I got that on the broadcast, John. But it just seems like I'm catching everybody's misfortunes here tonight. And time to say hello to the 12 viewers that we have online watching the broadcast live. Jack Ivy out there just kind of touring around the Nordschleife. And Brad Maris comes in at the end of lap 12, and I would assume that this is going to be his last stop. Now, he still might get out in front of Chris Moses, and if he does, then no doubt there'll be quite a battle. But no, it looks like Moses is now jumped out in front, and Moses, perhaps looking up at the lap counter, is thinking and knowing what Brad Maris has done. Chris Moses is going to have to make a third stop, as is Aaron Parsons, and just about everybody else. And it looks like Brad Maris might have sold him a dummy by not tipping his hands as to what he was doing, and Al Merriman now in the pits for no doubt the same strategy. And it looks, boy, I gotta tell you that if this pans out, Gotta Go By would have pulled off a coup here tonight. Everybody else has to pit one more time. So we will see how this all pans out for the rest of the drivers here. John Houston out there just cruising around. Al Merriman is off now, so first half of Gotta Go By now out of the pits, and no doubt the last stop for these drivers. Oh, as he gets the car a little sideways there. And we are in for the next hour or so. To be in this, watching closely what Gotta Go By does, and everybody else. Like I said, if the who I call the pit wizard, Chris Moses, took a look and saw what these guys did, perhaps gonna have to go back and reevaluate his own pit strategies on a go-forward basis. So, the settled course is showing Chris Moses in P2. However, that is not the case. He is actually in the lead. Actually, not virtually. He is actually in the lead of this race for the time being. Or maybe it is virtually, because he does have one more stop to make. And the gap from Moses back to Maris, 41 seconds. So my guess here is, let's see if we can find out just what they're doing. Chris Moses is on the mediums, as is Brad Maris. Brad Maris has been making these mediums stand out for 6 whole laps. Everybody else has been getting, I think, a maximum of 5 laps. Salem Montgomery Jr. actually the only one to be gutsy enough to put on the softs with 40 kilos of ballast. That is absolutely unheard of. Everyone else, the entire field is on the mediums with the exception of your 8th place driver, Salem Montgomery Jr. So it looks like to me, and this just dawned on me, everybody that's watching this broadcast here tonight, is that John Houston and Marty Uren were a team on GT1 Thursday nights. And guess what? They are both driving the Corvette C7 here tonight. Things that make you go, Stay tuned in the forum. John Houston in the C7, as is Marty Uren. So things that make you go. And I guess you are just going to have to stay tuned in the forums after the season is over. Look for a post in the Thursday night forums. I'm going to start some stuff up there and start spreading rumors. See if I throw the bait into the water and see if these fish will bite. So you might want to stay tuned for that, guys. So yes, in the chat, EV0RN0SS. So it's Evernus. Evo Norse. Anyway, yes, the broadcast tools does show him in first. However, until they cross the start-finish line in the sim itself, beautiful backdrop back there as we see one of the Porsches making their way through the winding section of the Nordschleife. In the sim itself, it will show them in their previous position until they cross that start-finish line. One of the limitations of Kuno's coding, but this app that was developed in-house here at the North American GPS, it shows you real-time gaps. We're hoping that by next season we'll even have splits in there, tire compounds, pit strategy, etc., etc. So it's developing and evolving. We're gonna have more for you guys next season, no doubt. So a little bit of a battle here between 7th place John McIntyre and 8th place Salem Montgomery Jr. And I gotta say one thing about Salem Montgomery Jr. He's run a part-time schedule here for season 27 in that Bentley, and I gotta tell you, I'm hoping that Salem finds the time and the desire to want to run a full schedule for next season here, team up with somebody, run a full schedule. And I will say this, guys, that we still are looking for a Thursday night co-host for me. Very difficult. I mean, you know, I do it because I have passion to do it, but it is very difficult to do this on my own. Thursday night races are typically an hour and a half to 2 hours long from start to finish, and then the feature races are about 3 hours long. So take into consideration the fact that I have to do some things to prepare myself, ready the broadcast, and then we do post-race interviews and talk to some of the drivers, etc., etc. You know, we are still looking for a co-host for Thursday nights. Jack Ivey used to be the co-host for Thursday nights. He has since taken up a full-time racing position with John McIntyre, and so has not been on the Thursday night broadcast. So just throw that out there. Evernos, thank you. Evernos. So, yep, hoping that Salem can come back for a full-time ride next season. John Wathen, typically paired up with Ian Jolicoeur, who is not with us tonight, Kung Fu Racing for Thursday nights, is incomplete tonight because Ian Jolicoeur, who had a spectacular run Monday night, had to work tonight, so he did not get a replacement driver for tonight. So we want to grow the league, guys. The competition here is second to none. We have some world-class racers. I will make mention of Alex White, who used to run the Monday night series with us. I know that he's had some personal issues, but if you do watch this, Alex, we're hoping that you can come back to the NAGP and perhaps run again with us. Alex White, one of the fastest drivers that the NAGP has ever seen. Bjorn Heyman, he's out here week after week and perhaps is not going anywhere. And Greg Myers, he fills in on Thursday. Now, Greg Myers, full-time on Mondays, fills in on Thursdays. Might continue that role going into season 28. We'll have to see. Hey, maybe the pairing of Greg Myers and Salem Montgomery Jr. for a full-time ride on Thursday nights might not be a bad idea. Just throwing it out there. But I suspect that PMR Racing will see Chris Moses and Aaron Parsons back in the saddle for next season. That is just my educated guess at this point. Evernos, Ronnie talked you into it. That makes sense. I'll tell you what, if your desk is too thin for the mounting brackets, right? So you should have also those extra pieces that kind of face upward. So if it has them, put them on. And what I did when I was racing with a desk was I found myself a piece of 1" by 4" strip of wood, and I just put it there and clamped it down, so it made the desk fatter. If your desk is too thin, just make it fatter by adding some wood. Now, the caveat to that is that if you don't have it mounted with screws, with the mounting screws from underneath, you may get some shifting, so you really got to tighten down on those clamps really hard. Oh, it's too thick. Well, then you need a chisel and a hammer. So, what can I say? Measure where the mounts go and chisel out a little bit of the desk. I'm saying, if anything. So yeah, if you can make it next season, buddy, listen, man, you would be partaking in a phenomenal league. And I always encourage the drivers to, if you came from another racing area, such as Gamers Crib, Gamers Hell, I think it's How I Play or something like that, or something to that effect, and there may be guys that might be looking for a little bit more structure in their sim racing hobby. NAGP is the place to be. We have had the likes of Kevin Savoie come back on Monday nights, and it's possible that Savoie might be looking for a full-time ride next season, so we'll have to see how that goes for Monday nights. And yeah, absolutely, Evernos, Thursday nights. Perhaps a little cleaner because of the lower number of drivers on Thursday nights, but by no means any less competitive. And I'll tell you this much, the numbers, like I said earlier, the numbers are a little bit more on Monday nights, so with higher numbers, higher number of incidents also, but I gotta tell you, it makes for some crazy great racing. I unfortunately will not be able to join Monday nights next season. I was hoping to make a comeback after having Ronnie Nunez join Team TFS full-time in my place, but work duties do beckon and call, so unfortunately I won't be able to, but maybe I can do cameo appearances in the broadcast from time to time with Al and Brad in the broadcast booth and be kind of like a pit lane reporter, if you will, so we'll have to see. I'll put the bug in Al's ear. Chris Moses, your current race leader, out in front. Aaron Parsons in second. Ronnie Nunez in third. And Brad Maris in a very solid fourth. And I got to tell you guys, we're going to be having some pit stops again for these front runners coming up soon. And I'm going to suspect that Chris Moses, after this lap, might have one more lap left in this Aston Martin, and then it's into the pits. And boy, oh boy, let's see how the team gotta go by fares in this one. So Al Merriman's he's over 2 minutes behind, so he's not gonna gain ground on the leaders, but may come home in sixth. But the one who stands to benefit and get the greatest challenge out of this one is Brad Maris, who is only 46 seconds behind the race leader right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all pans out as Chris Moses takes some liberty over the curbing there and gets all four off the track. No, I will not be racing Thursday nights. I do the broadcast Thursday nights. That is my contribution back to this phenomenal sim racing community. For the time being, because I do love sim racing and I love everything about it. However, I cannot give up my Monday nights right now due to work. I do the Thursday night broadcast. I do iRacing oval stuff right now, and it's just it's what fits my schedule, and I like oval racing. Being a huge NASCAR fan, I love road racing also. So race with two leagues on iRacing right now during the week that fit my schedule a little bit better when I work from home and take my lunch hour to go and race during the day with European League, and then one of the other nights during the week with an American Oval Racing League. So that's my story in a nutshell. But out here on track, man, I got to tell you, Chris Moses right now looking at this championship win for season 27 Thursday night. It would make him a two-time champion in the same season. Now, we'll have to go back into the archives and find out if that's ever been done before. Has there ever been a Monday, Thursday night champion? I think I had asked this question several sessions ago, maybe about a month and a half ago, during one of the races. So, and I had even went as far to ask the question if there had been at one point we had a Saturday day league in GTR2. Had anybody ever won all three championships in the same season? I think the answer was no. And if anybody ever came close, I believe it was Tiago Canola, who should be making a comeback to NAGP in January. Let's hope that is the case, because he is now living in the States, Metro Detroit, and we are hoping that he comes back and puts the challenge to these very, very fast virtual racers here at the NAGP. So let's get back to the action. Chris Moses out in front, followed by Aaron Parsons in second. That is a PMR 1-2 punch. Ronnie Nunez now gaining some inroads to where Aaron Parsons is running. Aaron Parsons not running slow by any means, but I'm thinking that perhaps Moses might be conserving a little bit out there on track. The gap, 14 or so seconds. Back to Parsons, and about a 3-second gap from Parsons to Nunez. Brad Maris is running in fourth. John Ludden in the pits, making his third stop of the night. So let's get back out front. Chris Moses still on the Nordschleife part of the circuit. yet to be seen if Moses is going to make his third and final pit stop at the end of lap number 15. He's pitted on lap 5. He's pitted on lap 10. My guess is that he is going to be pitting now on lap 15 because he will not have sufficient fuel to get to the end of this race. But all he's got to do is finish out ahead of John Ludden. David Poole, who is now out of this race, who was the closest one with an opportunity to perhaps win this championship had Moses or Ludden not finished this particular competition, is out of the race tonight, along with Luis Nieto and Greg Haglund, who made his inaugural debut here tonight. Did not go too well for him, but Greg, we want to invite you back for next season. We hope that you will come out and join us for Thursday night GT racing, or you can join us for the Monday night open wheel series. We are not, this broadcaster is not 100% sure just if we're going to stick with the Formula Abarth or if we're going to go with something a little bit different. So cars that may have a little bit more horsepower and speed to them. I had heard Brad made mention of perhaps doing some fun runs during the off season with some top of the line open wheel cars. Forget the I think his motto for stating that was forget the lower end medium performance stuff, and let's get into some Formula One like cars and do some fun runs, open wheel racing. Well, I'll tell you what, somebody needs to make a virtual representation of the Charlotte Motor Speedway for Assetto Corsa and put Formula One cars on that oval. Would be absolutely insane, doing 11 to 12 second laps. So, yeah, I'd have to agree. I'd have to agree with Shoobs that Moses perhaps knows what Brad is up to, and he's got him by about 50 plus seconds. So perhaps Moses may still have this one in the bag because he will get into the pits on, I'm assuming, the end of this lap, get out on fresh tires, and Brad will have more worn tires. Lighter fuel load, though, and it all depends on what Brad's lap times are like. So Moses is running in the 819, 820s. Brad is running back in the 822s, no doubt being conservative. So Brad might jump Ronnie in the pits, as long as Moses can get in and out quickly. So we take it over with Chris Moses right now. We're cycling through the field. We got to give some of the other guys, sorry, that was Aaron Parsons. We got to give some of the other guys some love around here. That's Aaron Parsons, Chris Moses, Ronnie Nunez now gets by for second. Aaron Parsons back into third. Brad Mercer fourth. David Zahn is actually back in 14th. John Ludden in 5th. So it looks like the battle that's going on, we're going to take you there now, is right here between Bjorn Heyman and John Wathen, who are on the same lap. And They are battling right now for ninth. So this is we are on board with Bjorn Heyman, who's currently rounding out the top 10. He is in 10th position, and John Wathen just up ahead of him, driving that beast of a car, the BMW Alpina. Oh, Wathen gets it wrong! Boy, broadcaster's curse, man. Sorry about that, Wathen. So Wathen gonna get it turned around, but he might have given that one away to Mr. Bjorn Heyman. So Bjorn Heyman gifted just before Christmas, given a gift. Uh-oh, and Bjorn Heyman nearly getting it squirrely as well. So let's be careful what we're saying here. And it looks like Montgomery Jr. and McIntyre are in for a battle as we see that Bentley go near sideways. So battle right now. I mean, you know, Shoes, I think that Parsons might have had it off because the gap is significant between him and Nunez now. You're looking at about a 12 or so second gap, 11-second gap. So here we go, on board with the Bentley. Now it looks like the Bentley might have a little more run through the infield sections of this circuit as they go side by side, or as they would say in Super GT, side by side, side by side. They would actually be screaming side by side, side by side. And McIntyre through the straightaway is going to get right back past him. Montgomery going a little wide. Don't want to do that, man. Not when you're this close and in the heat of battle, but that Bentley certainly picking up a draft off of that Nissan GTR. That skyscraper rear wing. Man, that thing just sits tall. So Montgomery Jr. And it looks like Chris Moses is in the pits now. Let's take it up. Man, I hate to tear away from this battle. I want to see what Chris Moses is up to, though. And it looks like Moses did go ahead and pit. Can't tell. That was one of the reasons why I stayed on him for so long, but looks like Chris Moses may have pitted already. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, he's in the GP Streck part of the circuit, so as is Brad Maris. So Brad Maris going to jump up into second. Brad Maris with no more pit stops left to go. Ronnie Nunez in third, and Aaron Parsons cycles back to fourth. So let's take it back to that battle. And here we are between Montgomery Jr. and John McIntyre. Now, John McIntyre has been holding his own this entire season. I want to say roughly in the short mid-pack section. So when I say that, has been, oh, McIntyre getting it wrong. And boy, some of these drivers just giving away Christmas gifts here tonight. I don't know what's going on with these guys. Or did they have contact? Salem Montgomery Jr. held up. Was there contact between these two? Interesting. I see that we've got a battle back there for 15th again between Trevor Snowden and David Zahn. We're going to stay here, though, because I see that Salem's driving a little bit slower right now. There might have been some contact between these two cars. We might not have caught it. So, in an effort to make things right, if you will, Salem might just be giving McIntyre that position back. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. And yeah, Montgomery is definitely driving slower, so it looks like like he's going to give that position back, and then then all things are fair after that. And again, this is, I am assuming that there was contact, guys. No confirmation of that, but my guess is based on Montgomery giving that position back. There may have been. So, all things fair again. And they are coming up to the final few corners here on lap. They've got 15 down. They're about to start on 16, and they are both going to duck into the pits together, and the battle will resume out on track. Both of these two guys. So great battle to ensue once again. Once these guys get out of this pit stop, we will rejoin them again. But in the meantime, looks like yep. These drivers here will retain their current positions. Chuck Carter running back in 17th, and Chuck Carter perhaps might be looking to. I don't know if he's just doing a fill-in this week because he happened to be free tonight. I believe he is a physician, a doctor, Dr. Chuck Carter. But who knows? He might be looking to make an entry into Thursday Night League. And Shubes, you need to come back too, man. So stop watching the broadcast. You can always watch the rebroadcast that same night or the day after. Get your tail back here with us. Or if you're not going to race, you know what? You could be up here in the broadcast booth with me, dude. So, let's see here. We cycle back. That's Chuck Carter. Jack Ivey back there in 10th. Bjorn Heyman in the pits. Gregory Myers. Gregory Myers has made some progress. He is up in 12th. You can see that the pebbles and the marbles and all that stuff are strewn all over the track after these guys have laid down some laps on this circuit. And again, Marty Red driving the C7. Chris Moses out in first by about 6 seconds over Brad Maris. So looks like Brad Maris had a good strategy coming into this race, but Chris Moses proves once again that he is the pit wizard and is out there on fresher tires, perhaps a heavier fuel load, but the tires are newer and fresher, and so looks like it's a wrap. And Chris Moses is going to wrap this one up here within the next 3.5 laps or so. Moses, your race leader, 15 down, working on 16 right now. Brad Maris in second, Ronnie Nunez third, Aaron Parsons in fourth, Ludden in fifth, Al Merriman right here in sixth, Johnny McIntyre, there he is, in seventh, and they are back at it once again. Both drivers have pitted, both on fresh tires, getting those tires up to temperature. Let's take it on board with Salem Montgomery Jr. And for those of you watching the broadcast live, just again, welcome to our viewers. We're watching the final round of Season 27 North American Grand Prix GT Moses right now in the lead, followed by Brad Maris, Ronnie Nunez, Aaron Parsons, John Ludden. That's your top 5. In terms of the driver championship, precision motor racing, Chris Moses out in the lead and right now poised to take away this championship. John Ludden, who had been leading the championship all season long up until the Nordschleife qualifying race last week, where he came away with only 1 point, but Chris Moses scored the 3, pushed him out by 1 point over John Ludden, and now Chris Moses is poised to take second championship here in season 27. So he will be duly crowned champion in season 27. So, looking at this battle between John McIntyre and Sid Montgomery Jr. Nissan versus Bentley Power. And again, it looks like that Bentley's got it all over the Nissan in the infield. They get out onto those straights and Nissan just walks on the Bentley. Here's where you see that the power band in the Nissan starts to come into play right around the 3rd gear, 4th gear mark. Starts to pull away from the Bentley. These long straightaways will definitely hurt Montgomery Jr.'s chances of taking that 7th spot away from McIntyre. John McIntyre, the entity responsible for the pit acts that we do use here at the North American Grand Prix, has been a wonderful creation for these guys. A very useful tool to get them in and out of the pits very, very quickly and efficiently. So big kudos to John McIntyre. John Ludden also created the 2 screens that you see on your left-hand side. The bottom part, which is known as broadcast tools, gives us the running order, best lap, lap gap, pits, and just above that is the session info, which gives us the lap information and the elapsed time of the race. Here, Salem is working the gearbox on that Bentley, really running it up to the rev limiter. Go inside with Salem. Battle for 7th place right now between John McIntyre and Salem Montgomery Jr. Salem nearly getting it up on 2 wheels there. Stay with this battle for the time being. We're going to cycle here in a moment through the rest of the field. And there goes the Nissan. So off into the sunset, it seems. Every time they come down this straight away. Nissan just has it all over just about every Gregory Myers running in 13th. John Houston in 14th. Trevor Snowden currently running in 15th. David Zahn in 16th. So they've swapped spots now. Chuck Carter in 17th. So out with your race leader. Chris Moses, working lap number 17, 16 into the record book. Working on putting 17 down, increasing his lead over Brad Maris to 7.5 seconds. So Brad Maris perhaps thought that he had it figured out. But it looks like Chris, once again, like I said, proved himself to be the true pit wizard and has overcome the odds, or overcome the strategy, I should say, of others, because phenomenal job by Chris. That's all I could say. Phenomenal job. He is poised to take both championships. Brad Maris come into the foreground, but that lead just continues to open up. It is now up to 8.4 seconds. That is between your race leader, Chris Moses, and second place, Brad Maris. Yes, who is that? Is that SMB Sam? Yeah, the leader is, he's quite fast. Chris Moses, and I will give you a little bit of trivia information you didn't hear from me. But if things are the way they were before, I believe that Chris Moses does not run with force feedback enabled. But that is soon to change. I believe that Chris Moses is now in the market for perhaps a direct drive wheel. So if you guys know anybody that's selling a used one, because I believe that the cheapest one out there right now is about $1,700. I say that, you know what, if you want to get a good quality wheel, anything better than a Logitech G27 would be the Thrustmaster T300, or even if you want to go one step above that, I would say the T500 RS. The T500, the TH500, something like that, that has the interchangeable wheels. Still running at about $500 for that wheel with you know, the rim and the base and the pedals. So it looks like nobody out on track has anybody within 5 seconds of their position. Everybody kind of running spaced out right now. Ronnie Nunez in third. Aaron Parsons in fourth. Some seconds back. About 26 seconds back. John Ludden in fifth and Al Merriman in sixth. Now Al Merriman is about a minute behind John Ludden. So like I said, big spaces. One of the challenges that we have always faced here on Thursday night since moving to Assetto Corsa is that through the span of a race, a lot of these guys do not challenge for position to the very end. So, two things to remedy that. shorten the races, and fill up the grids. And also shorten the tracks that you run at as well. Shortening the races will definitely create tighter competition here in the GT League. So it's been since our first season one of my biggest gripes. You know, these guys just have way too much time to space themselves out. No doubt, you know, kind of becomes boring, if you will. I'm pretty sure for some of these drivers out there, like, damn, you know, I'm just kind of running around on my own, just to hold position and finish within the points. So. So let's go back out to the chat room, to the forums, and answer some questions. So SMB Sam, I'm sorry, Evernos asking if the G27 is bad. No, it is not bad. Just some advice, however, on the pedals to be fast. They're not terrific out of the box, stock configuration. You might want to look into, my opinion, the Nixon mod. There's also the GTI mod out there for the brake pedal. Brake pedal needs some help. I would pair the pedals up with a Bodnar cable, a Leo Bodnar cable. You can look that up, Leo Bodnar, B-O-D-N-A-R, out online. Or Derek Spear sells two products. One is the DSD Pedal Pal, which takes and can make your pedals a standalone unit. And his 12-bit board, it gives you 2048 steps of resolution. That is what I'm using. I'm using a heavily modded set of G27 pedals. I mean, I have a pneumatic brake mod with an oil-filled cylinder, spring, and actually, if you go and check out the hardware thread at the NAGP forum, you'll probably see some pictures of the mod. Did a whole write-up on it, so it makes the world of difference. Feels like a real race car pedal, and it makes all the world of difference. But yeah, I would say that if you're just starting, you want to invest, I believe that you can get the GTI mod on eBay for less than $20 US, and if you look up the Nixon G27 brake mod, I believe that mod is about $25, but it comes with a rubber stopper to add to the resistance of the brake pedal versus the GTI, which is just one progressive spring. Or you can go, I think for $45 US, you can go for the entire set of the Nixon mod, and you get all three springs plus the bumper stop for the brake pedal. So you want to take a look at that. But stock out of the box, the G27 pedals. Ooh, Trevor Snowden just learned the hard way that those concrete walls do not move. Let's hope David Zahn does not find out the same lesson. He's going to keep it clean. Go online, do your research. I highly recommend one of those mods. I myself am using a G27 wheel, again, highly modified. I swapped out the stock motors in them for something a bit more powerful. They are way expensive. For the money that I've invested, I should have gotten a direct drive wheel, but that is on my list for next year. I am looking either at the Leo Bodnar Pro wheel, the OSW wheel, or even the AccuForce, depending on availability. So we're looking at John McIntyre, but it looks like there's a bit of a battle back here between Ivy and Wathen. For P9. And it looks like Wathen grabbing a handful of curbing. Jack Ivy playing it a little bit safer. opting not to take all that curving. As they make their way through the first part of the Nordschleife piece. So SMB Sam asks if there will be done soon. Yeah, so we should be. They have 17 in the books. There goes Jack Ivy. Gonna put John Wathen down a position. Now that does not mean that John Wathen is done with this by any means, because I believe that the BMW has more infield power, but looks like Chris Moses has just put 18 in the books. Brad Maris making a run on Ronnie Nunez. Let's get up there and take a look at this battle now, because we don't want to miss this. Brad Maris in the pits for a third time. Thought he was going to be able to make it. Ronnie Nunez is going to move up into second, and it looks like Ronnie Nunez will take that second spot away from Brad Maris. So tough break for Brad, having to make that third stop on the final lap. That really sucks. So it didn't quite pan out the way he had hoped. Alright, so let's go back now to Jack Ivy and John Wathen, because these guys are actually... Oh, I'm sorry, that's John Ludden. Have some sort of off, because Jack Ivy just kind of walking. So yellow, green highlighted driver name means that they've got somebody within 5 seconds of their time. At least 5 seconds. John Wathen didn't find the ball. Yellow means less than 5 seconds. Red means less than 1 second. So that is the breakdown of the ball. So the left is to the driver name. Purple, the best lap, means that they have the record for the best lap during the session that we are in. Looks like Chris Moses has beat everybody's best time by 2.5 seconds. So it looks like Wathen has let Jack Ivy get away, so Jack Ivy moves up into 9th. Wathen into 10th, and Bjorn still in 11th. Chuck Carter doing a little lawn maintenance out there here in the Nordschleife. Chris Moses, your race leader. We are going to stay with Chris and hopefully be able to get an interview with him at the end of all this. Yeah, Shoes, I'd have to agree with you. Chris Moses perhaps pushed Brad Maris to push real hard. Ran out of fuel, but man, it just, I guess if you're Brad Maris, you're like oh so close, and you look down and you're starting to see that yellow fuel indicator come up in the Porsche, and then it goes red. You're like, holy crap, I gotta pit one more time. Something totally unexpected. Just kind of shatters your hopes and dreams. But that is racing. That's the way it goes, especially during the endurance races. 3 hours long. We've been at this since 8 o'clock p.m. and it's now 10:48 Eastern time. So almost a full 3 hours. Come in just under 3 hours for the end of this race. And then we will go ahead and Chris Moses up here, taking away from his partner. NAGP broadcast booth for the second time this week. So your race leader, Chris Moses, just kind of making his way through the North Loop. Just looking to finish strong here. Stay consistent. Not pushing too hard at this point, I would assume. 21-second gap to second place. He is secured this victory and the championship so long as he keeps it clean and on track and finishes. So long as he finishes within the points, he is golden. Oh, ahead of John Ludden. As he makes his way through the first carousel. So about another half lap to go. So that's like 4 minutes from now. We should be pulling Chris up into the broadcast booth with us to talk championship. And get inside the head of Mr. Chris Moses. Ronnie Nunez running a solid second place. Great show here from Mr. Nunez and a great finish. Once this race is over, in second place, Brad Maris in third. Marty Wren currently running in... Oh, we just lost Salem Montgomery Jr. from the server. That's a shame. Marty Wren going to move up. He's going to slot up into 11th. Aaron Parsons running in 4th. John Ludden 5th. Greg Myers going to move up into 12th. Al Merriman is up in 6th. And so the list goes on and on and on. And we want to just kind of see where everybody's at. Make sure everything is good aesthetic. There's Jack Ivey. Now moves up into 8th place. John Wathen back into the place where he wanted to be before, 9th, but perhaps now wants 8th back. Wants to take 8th away from Jack Ivey. Probably not going to happen, but... And Chris Moses now through the second left-hander that I call the carousel. Carousel-like turn because of the camber. Want to invite all of our viewers to stay tuned. We've got 11 viewers online. I want to invite you all to stay tuned for the post-race interview as Chris Moses now making his way down the long back straight. He's got about, I don't know what, 2-3 corners left to go before the end of this one. So it looks like Chris Moses is going to bring home the gold here tonight. And that is it. Your race is over. So Chris Moses done. And it looks like Ronnie Nunez now making his way. Going to finish a strong second place to Chris Moses. After having run a part-time Thursday night schedule. So good on Ronnie Nunez. And Brad Merritt's going to finish out in 3rd. Aaron Parsons 4th. John Ludden in 5th. Al Merriman finished, bring it home in 6th. John McIntyre in 7th. Jack Ivey 8th. John Wathen 9th. Bjorn Heyman in 10th. Marty Uren in 11th. Greg Myers in 13th. John Houston 14th. sorry, 13th. David Zahn will finish 14th, Trevor Snowden 15th, and then Chuck Carter 16th. So everybody here that finishes tonight does grab some points, and good on everybody for putting in such a phenomenal race. We're gonna go ahead and grab Chris Moses real quick. And see if we can go ahead and pull Chris Moses up into the broadcast booth. Chris
Woohoo!
Moses, Ken Rodriguez in the broadcast booth. Do you got a copy?
Yeah, I do. Ken, how you doing?
Well, I should be asking you, how are you doing, buddy? I believe that this means two championships this season, eh?
Yeah, and it's the triple double. We got the team in both, competition index in both, and the drivers' championship. So came, I saw, I conquered, and I'm worn out. Wow.
I'll bet you are. After 3 hours, well, nearly 3 hours out here on the Nordschleife, it definitely wasn't an easy one, but everybody kept us entertained the entire way, and it's been just a phenomenal run for you this season. Want to talk strategy going into this race? Brad Maris having made two long first stints, we had some doubt that you were going to be able to pull off the win, and I questioned, did Chris Moses lose his touch being the pit wizard? But you know what? You solidified your crown in being the pit wizard nonetheless.
Thanks, Ken. This is a track I never been able to be very good at in sim racing, and I put a lot into it these last 2 weeks. And this is kind of like my rookie run here at the Nordschleife, and it's kind of my rookie run at a set of course for this season. So I'm really pleased. I made a lot of mistakes. I damaged the car at the beginning of the second and the fourth stint. So, but I really ripped off some good laps in the other two stints, and it was enough. I mean, it's got enough speed out of the car where I could make a few mistakes and still pull it out.
You certainly did. You did have the race record at a 2:18 and some change. Closest to you was Aaron Parsons with about 2.5 seconds back in terms of best laps. So you were definitely ripping some fast laps out there. So again, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the championship. And you guys sewed it up on both Monday and Thursday nights. I don't think that's ever been done in NAGP history for a team.
I don't think for a team. No, I've done the double for the drivers, but never team. And then tack on the competition index. So I'm gloating. And this is number 14. I take the lead in NAGP championship. So I'll pat myself on the back a little bit and have a beer.
Yep, that is absolutely awesome. We enjoyed the interview you gave Al Monday night after the race there at whatever track it was, I forget. But nonetheless, it was a great interview, and you're at it here again. So I got to ask the question because our viewers want to know, what does season 28 hold for PMR Racing in terms of Monday night and Thursday night racing?
I have signed Matt Taylor. He was in his option year of his contract and he came through, so he's been re-signed for next season. For Thursday with Ezzo, that's still up for negotiation. So we'll have to get our lawyers out and get some ballpoint pens and see if we can figure something out.
Well, got to tell you that we're looking forward to that. And you know what? As one of the admins of the league, we heard Brad and Al talk on Monday that the league has been taking a look at maybe some options for Monday night. Anything that you can share with our viewers?
That's going to kick into full mode now. We're going to explore a couple different formulas. We're going to keep the same format. It's going to be a formula in about an hour race distance, probably 12 rounds. Same. We're going to keep finish the same format. There's a chance we'll stick with the bars, or there's a chance we could soup them up, and then we're going to look at some other mods as well. And we'll come up with something cool though. Uh, the bar season was pretty good considering I think the first 7 races we had a different winner, and then we had a eighth or ninth different winner too out of 12 races. That's pretty amazing. So, and then on Thursday nights, this might be the last 3-hour Nordschleife. That's a little inside hint. We might be shortening the races just a little bit on Thursday, so but we'll be keeping a GT formula.
Well, that's good then. That means you guys have been reading my mind because I've complained about it before, and I think that one way to spruce up the competition is one, shorten the races, and two, fill up the grids. So perhaps I want to take it that you guys have maybe identified that as a possibility of improving the league and moving it in the right direction. So definitely thank you for that and the job that you guys do as we close out season 27. You, Al, Brad, and everybody else that does such a phenomenal job in this league, the competition committee. Words, there are no words to express the gratitude and the phenomenal job that you guys do. So thank you.
We're very appreciative of your work too, Ken, and hope everybody enjoys the holidays and take kick back and relax and have a good time and enjoy families, and then we'll be back at it probably mid-January, most likely.
Yeah, sounds good. So hopefully, maybe just after the new year, we might have a fun run or two. I think I heard Brad wants to organize something like that. So I advise our viewers to keep up with us on the forums, and you'll get all the latest news. And again, Chris Moses, a big congratulations to you, Aaron Parsons, and then you and Matt Taylor for Monday night. You really sewed it up and showed that your medal is a lot stronger than perhaps some people even anticipated. Big congratulatory to you and for everything that you've done.
Thanks. The old guy still got it a little bit, huh? Thank you,
Just
Ken.
just a little bit, man. Now go crack that can of beer. Go celebrate. I'm gonna drop you back down, and we'll talk at you again during the off season.
Thanks, Ken.
So there you have it. Chris Moses doing a three-peat, two-peat, three-peat, if you will, for the championship. And I got to tell you that there's a lot of buzz going on right now in the Ventrilo channels, and so we certainly had such a great time bringing you guys the broadcast this season, and we're going to be back at it, like you heard Chris Moses said, perhaps in mid-January for season number 28, and maybe some changes, maybe some not. But the admins of this league are certainly serious enough about the league to put things in perspective and give what is best for the league. So we appreciate their efforts and we look forward to everything that's coming in the future. We're going to be making some broadcast enhancements. Um, you know, we're going to be, I'll be out there vying for some sponsorships, if anything, for the league to just try and help us, become a little bit more robust and see what we can do. So stay tuned. That's all I can tell you guys. And we're very grateful for all of our viewers out there. So we invite you to come back for next season, Monday and Thursday. In the meantime, I am Ken Rodriguez, and we're going to check out for the North American Grand Prix. We want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Remember that don't drink and drive, and if you are going to drink and have a good time, then designate somebody to drive you around to get you at least home, or put a few bucks in your pocket for a cab. Okay, so thanks again for everybody, and we'll see you for next season.